Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Welcome to day 333 of Qur'an in a year plus, where we learn to look at the world and live life according to the lens of the Qur'an. Today we're going to be looking at verses 1 to 17 of Surah Al-Jathiya. Surah Al-Jathiya is a Meccan surah, and from the objectives of the surah is detailing the different conditions of the creation from legislative verses and signs in the universe, refuting the arguments of those who reject the resurrection, and warning them. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حميم تنزيل الكتاب من الله العزيز الحكيم. Hamim. The revelation of the Qur'an is from Allah, the Almighty whom no one can overpower, the All-Wise in His creation, decree, and management of all affairs. إن في السماوات والأرض لآيات للمؤمنين. Indeed, in the heavens and the earth are clear signs of Allah's power and oneness for the believers, because they are the ones who reflect upon and take lessons from these signs. وَفِي خَلْقِكُمْ وَمَا يَبُثُّ مِن دَابَّةٍ آيَاتٌ لِقَوْمٍ يُوقِنُونَ. And in your own creation, O people, from a drop of fluid, then a clinging clot, then a lump of flesh, and in the creation of the living creatures Allah spreads throughout the earth, are signs of His oneness for people who are certain that Allah alone is the Creator. واختلاف الليل والنهار وما أنزل الله من السماء من رزق فأحيا به الأرض بعد موتها وتصريف الرياح آيات لقوم يعقلون. And in the alternation of night and day, in the rain Allah sends down from the sky by which He brings the earth back to life with vegetation after it had been dead and barren, and in the directing of the winds, sometimes coming from one direction and sometimes from another for your benefit, are signs for people who reason. Through these signs they recognize Allah's oneness, His power to resurrect the dead, and His power over all things. تلك آيات الله نتلوها عليك بالحق فبأي حديث بعد الله وآياته يؤمنون. These are the signs and proofs of Allah which we recite to you, O Messenger, in truth. So if they will not believe in the words of Allah revealed to His servant, or in His clear proofs, then what message after this will they believe in? And what evidence after this will they accept? وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ أَفَّاكٍ أَثِيمٍ. Destruction and punishment from Allah are for every habitual liar who is deeply immersed in sin. يسمع آيات الله تتلى عليه ثم يصر مستكبرا كأن لم يسمعها فَبَشِّرْهُ بِعَذَابٍ أَلِيمٍ. The disbeliever hears the verses of Allah in the Qur'an being recited to him, yet he continues upon his disbelief and sins, arrogantly refusing to follow the truth, as though he had never heard the verses recited to him. So give him, O Messenger, news of what will grieve him in the hereafter, a painful punishment awaiting him there. وَإِذَا عَلِمَ مِنْ آيَاتِنَا شَيْئًا اتَّخَذَهَا هُزُوًا أُولَئِكَ لَهُمْ عَذَابٌ مُهِينٌ. Whenever something from the Qur'an reaches him, he takes it in mockery and ridicules it. Those who are characterized by mocking the Qur'an will have a humiliating punishment on the day of resurrection. من ورائهم جهنم ولا يغني عنهم ما كسبوا شيئا ولا ما اتخذوا من دون الله أولياء وَلَهُمْ عَذَابٌ عَظِيمٌ. Ahead of them is the fire of hell awaiting them in the hereafter. The wealth they earn will not benefit them against Allah in any way, nor will the idols they took as protectors and worshipped besides Him protect them from anything. On the day of resurrection, they will have a tremendous punishment. هذا هدى والذين كفروا بآيات ربهم لهم عذاب من رجز أليم. This book that we revealed to our messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is guidance to the path of truth. Those who disbelieve in the verses of their Lord revealed to his messenger will have a severe and painful punishment. الله الذي سخر لكم البحر لتجري الفلك فيه بأمره ولتبتغوا من فضله ولعلكم تشكرون. Allah alone is the one who subjected the sea for you, O people, so that ships may sail upon it by His command, so that you may seek from His bounty through different lawful means of earning, and so that you may be grateful for Allah's blessing upon you. وَسَخَّرَ لَكُم مَّا فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَمَا فِي الْأَرْضِ جَمِيعًا مِّنْهُ إِنَّ فِي ذَلِكَ لَآيَاتٍ لِقَوْمٍ يَتَفَكَّرُونَ. And He, glorified is He, subjected for you what is in the heavens, including the sun, moon, and stars, and what is on the earth, including rivers, trees, mountains, and other things. All of these blessings are from His bounty and kindness. Indeed, in His subjecting all of this for you are clear signs of Allah's power and oneness for people who reflect upon His signs and take lessons from them. قُلْ لِلَّذِينَ آمَنُوا يَغْفِرُوا لِلَّذِينَ لَا يَرْجُونَ أَيَّامَ اللَّهِ لِيَجْزِيَ قَوْمًا بِمَا كَانُوا يَكْسِبُونَ. Say, O Messenger, to those who believe in Allah and affirm His Messenger, overlook and pardon those disbelievers who wrong you and who do not care about Allah's favors or His punishment. Allah will repay both the patient believers and the transgressing disbelievers according to what they used to earn through their deeds in this world. من عمل صالحا فلنفسه ومن أساء فعليها ثم إلى ربكم ترجعون. Whoever does a righteous deed, the benefit of that righteous deed returns to himself, for Allah has no need of his actions. And whoever does evil, the consequence of that evil deed is the punishment he brings upon himself, while his wrongdoing does not harm Allah in any way. Then to us alone you will all return in the hereafter, and we will repay each person according to what they deserve. وَلَقَدْ آتَيْنَا بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحُكْمَ وَالنُّبُوَّةَ وَرَزَقْنَاهُم مِّنَ الطَّيِّبَاتِ وَفَضَّلْنَاهُمْ عَلَى الْعَالَمِينَ. We certainly gave Bani Israel the Torah, the authority to judge between people according to it, and prophethood, making most of the prophets from among them from the descendants of Ibrahim. We also provided them with many kinds of good things and favored them over the people of their time. وَآتَيْنَاهُمْ بَيِّنَاتٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْرِ فَمَا اخْتَلَفُوا إِلَّا مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ إِنَّ رَبَّكَ يَقْضِي بَيْنَهُمْ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ فِيمَا كَانُوا فِيهِ يَخْتَلِفُونَ. And we gave them clear proofs distinguishing truth from falsehood, yet they did not differ until after the evidence had been established against them through the mission of our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Nothing drove them to this disagreement except transgression against one another, out of a desire for leadership and status. Indeed, your Lord, O Messenger, will judge between them on the day of resurrection concerning what they used to differ about in this world, making clear who was upon the truth and who was upon falsehood. As we reflect over today's verses, Allah He says, Indeed, in the heavens and the earth are signs for the believers, and in your own creation and in the creatures He spreads throughout the earth are signs for people who have certainty, and in the alternation of the night and day, and in the provision Allah sends down from the sky, bringing the earth back to life after its death, and in the directing of the winds are signs for people who reason. Sheikh Shanqiti says, these are 6 proofs of Allah's oneness, demonstrating His greatness and majesty, the perfection of His power, and that He alone, exalted is He, deserves to be worshipped. The first is His creation of the heavens and the earth. The second is His creation of human beings. The third is His creation of animals and other living creatures. The fourth is the alternation of day and night. The fifth is His sending down water from the sky and bringing the earth to life through it. The sixth is His directing and changing of the winds. We wake up inside one of Allah's signs every day. We walk beneath His sky. We breathe the air He created. We eat from what He causes to grow. We depend upon systems we did not design and cannot control. The signs have not disappeared. We may simply have just stopped reflecting upon them. Imam al-Baqai mentions, when fair-minded people reflected upon the heavens and the earth and recognized that they must have a creator, they believed. Then, when they reflected upon the creation of themselves and other creatures like them, their faith increased and they reached certainty. When they reflected upon all the other events and phenomena occurring in creation, they reasoned and their knowledge became firmly established. That is a beautiful progression. They looked at the signs, so they believed. They looked more deeply, so their faith became certainty. And as they continued reflecting, their knowledge became firmly established. The Qur'an is not calling us to blind faith. It calls us to observe, reflect, reason, and then submit to what the signs reveal. Allah, He says, indeed, in that are signs for people who reflect. Ibn Ashur mentions, reflection is specifically mentioned at the end of the descriptions of those who draw lessons from the signs, because reflection is a source of faith, certainty, and understanding which were mentioned earlier in his statements. Signs for the believers, signs for people who have certainty, and signs for people who reason. Perhaps our certainty sometimes feels weak, not because there are too few signs, but because we have stopped reflecting upon them. Allah, He says, Allah is the one who subjected the sea for you so that ships may sail upon it by His command. Imam al-Razi says, Allah draws attention here to the way ships travel across the surface of the sea. This can only happen because He has subjected 3 things. The first is the winds, which move in accordance with what is needed. The second is that He created the surface of the water with the smoothness that allows ships to travel across it. The third is that He created wood in such a way that it remains floating on the surface of the water and does not sink into it. No human being has the power to bring about these 3 conditions. Therefore, there must be a creator who has power over them, and He is Allah, glorified and exalted. Think about something as ordinary as driving to work. You press a button and begin moving without thinking about the materials Allah created, the intelligence He gave human beings, and the physical laws He made dependable. We call it technology, and it is technology, but the believer learns to look deeper than that. Who subjected creation so that we could benefit from it? The world is filled with signs, but then the passage changes because signs alone do not guarantee guidance. Allah, He says, woe to every sinful liar who hears the verses of Allah being recited to him, yet persists arrogantly as though he had never heard them. So give him the news of a painful punishment. The scholars explain that their condition in failing to benefit from the verses is compared to the condition of someone who never heard them at all. In other words, he becomes like someone who did not hear them. This comparison indirectly points to how clear the indications of the Quranic verses are, such that a person who truly hears them should acknowledge and believe in what they point to. Were it not for their persistence and arrogance, they would have benefited from them. Notice the problem. He heard the revelation, but he persisted in sin. The truth reached him, but something inside him refused to surrender. The verse is describing an arrogant rejecter of revelation, but there's still something here that every believer should fear. Hearing Allah's words so often that they slowly stop affecting us. We hear about patience, tawakkul, and forgiveness, but when anger, uncertainty, or hurt arrives, we can behave as though those teachings no longer apply to our situation. Hearing the Qur'an is not the same as allowing the Qur'an to guide you. And Ibn al-Qayyim, he says, among the clearest and most effective forms of argument is that you first make the truth clear to the listener, and then say to him, what can you possibly say that contradicts this? Where can you possibly go instead of this? Allah says, then in what message after this will they believe? The matter ultimately comes down to truth or falsehood, guidance or misguidance. So if you turn away from guidance and truth, then where will you turn and what path will you take? If we do not allow Allah to teach us how to understand life, then something else will. Our desires will, our environment will, social media will, the expectations of the people around us will. We are always being formed by something. The question is whether we are being formed by revelation or by whatever happens to be around us. And after showing us the signs and then warning us about turning away from them, Allah shows us how faith is supposed to impact a person's character. He says, tell those who believe to forgive those who do not expect to meet Allah, so that He may recompense a people for what they used to earn. Imam al-Razi, he says, after Allah taught His servants the proofs of His oneness, power, and wisdom, He followed that by teaching them virtuous character and praiseworthy conduct. Because the goal is not just knowing that Allah exists, but the goal is knowing Allah and then living in accordance to what that means. Forgiveness does not mean approving of falsehood, abandoning justice, or allowing people to continue harming us. It means that opposition does not give us permission to lose our character. And Usama ibn Zayd, he said that the Prophet ﷺ and his companions used to pardon the polytheists and the people of the book, just as Allah had commanded them, and they would remain patient in the face of harm. Their faith produced restraint. It produced patience. It shaped how they behaved, even when dealing with people who opposed them. And Allah, He says, whoever does righteous deeds, it is for his own benefit, and whoever does bad, it is against himself. Then to your Lord you will all be returned. Imam al-Tabari mentions, whoever among Allah's servants acts in obedience to Him, follows His commands, and refrains from what He has forbidden, then the benefit of that righteous deed returns to himself. By doing so, he seeks to save himself from Allah's punishment. He obeys his Lord for his own sake, not for anyone else, because his obedience does not benefit another person. And Allah is completely free of need from the deeds of every person. And whoever does evil, it is against himself, means whoever acts wrongly in this world by disobeying his Lord and going against His commands and prohibitions, has only harmed himself. He has brought ruin upon himself through that sin, earned Allah's displeasure because of it, and harmed no one but himself. So as we walk away from today's episode, the goal is to let our faith show up in our character. Our faith teaches us how to behave. So the next time someone frustrates you, tests your patience, ask yourself, what does my belief in Allah require from me in this moment? We ask Allah the Almighty to make us among those individuals who reflect over His signs. We ask Him to strengthen our faith, to bless us with faith that produces beautiful character. I'll see you tomorrow, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.